Two of the most iconic flight products in the world of points and miles is the Emirates business class and first class experience. And in this video, we're providing you with step-by-step tutorials for how to find and book these bucket list flights on points, saving you tens of thousands of dollars. So let's jump right in. All right, the base case with Emirates is that you just log in to emirates.com, create an account if you don't have one already, and then you're going to click on Classic Rewards, type in your departure airport. So let's say here it's just JFK, and we want to go over to Dubai. We would pick a date sometime in the future. As always, it's easiest to say your dates are flexible and search for one way at a time. So let's just say March 7, and then let's say one passenger for now in economy, just for a super easy base case. So here we would see that in economy, this flight would be 62.5 thousand miles. Business, it would be 138,000, and first class, they actually happen to have availability on this date for 163.5 thousand miles, plus 837 US dollars. Now, let's see if there is a way to find this flight for cheaper, which you can often do by booking through Air Canada. So here we have this flight on March 7, 2024 from New York to Dubai, and it's going to cost 62.5 thousand miles. If we book directly with Emirates, let's check this thing with Air Canada and say New York to Dubai on March 7, 2024 for one adult. And here we do have this flight operated by Emirates, and it's only going to cost 46.5 thousand points if we wanted to fly in economy class, where over here it would cost 62.5, but the first class flight is going to be 270,000 points, versus if you wanted to fly this flight for 163.5 thousand points. So it depends on which class you would want to fly here, but if you wanted to hop over in economy, it is going to be cheaper by booking with Air Canada rather than directly with Emirates. If you are already completely confused or you're just getting started with points and miles, make sure you check out our free course at geobreezetravel.com/free course. It covers everything you need to make your first points redemption, as well as bonus lessons for how to get status with different airlines and hotels quickly, and a free hotel upgrade email template that you can use to get free upgrades and amenities at different hotels. Download the free course at geobreezetravel.com/free course, which you can also find in the description box. So now that we've covered the base case for how to search on Emirates, let's talk about the products that I know you're here for, which is how to fly on business class and first class for cheap. It can be really expensive to fly all the way to Dubai, but you actually don't need to fly that far or spend that much to experience Emirates business or first class. Here's the play. One of the most popular ways for points people in the US to experience Emirates is through the Fifth Freedom routes between the US and Europe, since it takes quite a few less points to do that route versus going all the way to Dubai. So if we Google Fifth Freedom flights and just click on this first article, which is through the points guy, we search for Emirates, then we have some of these routes that aren't in the US, but they do fly between New York to Milan from JFK and Athens and Newark. So you could fly either New York to Milan or Athens to Newark. And then they also have one between Dubai and Mexico City, and you can take Mexico City to Barcelona. So let's go ahead and run a search for one of these flights. Let's say that we wanted to go between Newark and Athens on that Fifth Freedom flight, and let's say we want to go on the 6th. Let's see if there's anything in business class available. One person for now. So let's go ahead and run that search. We do have that flight. It's going to be between Newark and Athens non-stop on the 777, and it'll cost 87,000 miles if we wanted to do this directly with Emirates, or they have first class availability on this as well for 102,000 miles. So let's say that we wanted to check on Air Canada to see if they have this as well. So this is going to be between Newark and Athens on the 6th. One passenger, and this first one is operated by Emirates. They surprisingly don't have the business class available at all for their partner availability, and it would cost a little bit more in first class with 200,000 points there. So if you did want to fly this, I would just recommend booking it directly through Emirates for 87,000 miles here, or 102,000 miles. Let's check another one of those Fifth Freedom flights. So let's say we wanted to go between JFK and Milan. Let's just keep the same date and see if they have something. So here they have the business class flight available for 87,000 miles going from JFK to Milan which is quite a bit cheaper than if you wanted to go all the way to Dubai, because remember, if we wanted to do something like that, the route with Milan would cost 138,000 miles instead of just 87. So if you did want to experience this business class product, but you didn't want to fly all the way to Dubai, or 138,000 miles is kind of steep, then you always have that option to just do the 5th Freedom flight. So going back to this JFK to Milan route real quick, see how they have business class available but not first class? Make sure you stay tuned, because I'm going to show you a way to actually get first class and upgrade your ticket if you just decide to book a business class ticket in the first place. So make sure you stay tuned. There are 5th Freedom flights outside of the US as well, because a 5th Freedom flight for the purpose of Emirates is just connecting any 2 countries that do not involve the United Arab Emirates. So for example, the US to Italy, US to Greece, or they have other ones as well. A lot of these from American blogs like The Points Guy or 1 Mile at a Time will only list the American routes, but one of my favorite articles is actually by this Australian frequent flyer, and it comes with the complete list of 5th Freedom routes. So in this article, I would just search for Emirates, and then they have Sydney to Christchurch, Singapore to Melbourne, Bangkok to Hong Kong, Mali to Colombo, and a lot of these are really short routes that don't take very many points at all. We've done another example from this Mali to Colombo route, so let's do an example of Bangkok to Hong Kong, which is a pretty short flight. So let's go ahead and search this 5th Freedom route from Hong Kong to Bangkok, click on Classic Rewards. Let's click into the beginning of June to see if there's something that's only a couple months out, 1 passenger in business class. And we should be able to find something that's just a couple months out, especially because this is a non-US route and people in Southeast Asia just don't have access to as many points as we have here in the US. So it's usually easier to find availability. And here we see that there's nothing on the 5th, but we do have something on the 6th, 7th, 8th, or the 2nd. So let's click on the 6th and see the flight options here. Here we have options to fly in business class for only 40,000 points or first class for 45,000 points, which, given these 2 options, I would definitely choose this first class option. Let's see if we have something similar in Air Canada to get it for even cheaper. So on Air Canada, we would search one way from Hong Kong to Bangkok, book with airplane points, and this was on the 6th, I believe. Yes, June 6th. For 1 adult. And they have a couple of different options. So you could take this Cathay Pacific flight for 30,000 points, but here is this Emirates flight, and we actually don't have business class availability, but we do have first class. It's going to cost 65,000 miles here. So this is another example where it's better to book directly with Emirates, because you can get that same first class flight for only 45,000 miles. If you're liking these step-by-step tutorials so far, please be sure to let me know by clicking that like button and subscribing to the channel for even more strategies for how to make the most out of your points and miles. The great thing about Emirates is that all of the flexible point currencies will transfer there. You can pull points from Chase, Amex, Citi, Capital One, and Bilt into your Emirates account to fly these fantastic products. Or, if you want to book through Air Canada instead, all of those different points currencies will transfer there as well. If you're not sure what card to get next, in order to fulfill your points and miles travel dreams, I offer free credit card consultations at geobreezetravel.com/consultations. And we'll provide you with personalized recommendations for the best card for you based on your particular goals, budget, and lifestyle. Just fill out the form at geobreezetravel.com/consultations, which you can find in the description box. Fun fact about Emirates First Class: not all first class products are created equal. There's a special first class product known as the Game Changer. It's a floor-to-ceiling, fully enclosed private suite complete with your own minibar, room service, caviar, Dom champagne, and so much more over-the-top luxury. But if you want to experience this, you need to make sure that you're flying the correct routes. Here's how to score a flight on the Emirates First Class Game Changer. Not all first class products are created equal, even if it's on the same airline. So for example, Emirates has regular first class, but they also have something called the Game Changer First Class, and this is only operated on a specific set of routes. Here we have some information about the Emirates B777 Game Changer, which just looks incredibly luxurious. You have your own pod. There are tons of YouTube videos about this. I don't have one because I haven't experienced this one yet. It's definitely high on my bucket list, but you get picked up in a Mercedes-Benz S-Class and you have just so much luxury at your fingertips. I will let you read through the different articles that say exactly what you get with this. But if you do want to experience the caviar, the champagne, the giant cushy zero gravity seat that I'm pretty sure was developed by astronauts, and all of these different amenities, then you are going to want to fly one of these routes. Also, look at this bathroom. So here are the routes to and from Dubai that you can fly. You can either do Brussels, Frankfurt, Geneva, London, Nice, Riyadh, Tokyo, or Zurich. So nothing directly from the US. Most people will fly into London or Geneva or something like that in order to experience this. It can be a little bit tricky to find first class seats with this since there are very few that are available on each plane. This only has 6 seats, 8 seats that are showing available. This one only has 6. So here is a shortcut for how to find first class availability on game changer routes and for pretty much any of the routes. So once again, I will direct you over to seats.aero, and then over here you will want to click on Emirates Skywards, which is new. Again, I have a link to this in the description box. It's about $8 a month and totally worth it if you want to save yourself a bunch of time for finding business class and first class availability. So up here, I would click on routes. Let's say that you wanted to do that London over to Dubai route for the game changer. Request route, they track that one. And so you would sort here by first class. And they have a lot of them available that are actually not too far out into the future. So this seats.aero is really good if you want to do some last minute availability as well as planning further out. So let's say that you wanted to go on the 1st of June. It should be 102,000 miles. So let's go into Emirates, click on Classic Rewards from London Heathrow over to Dubai, June 1st, 1 passenger, first class. And they do have it here for 102,000 miles plus 574 pounds, where you can experience 7 hours in the amazing game changer for only this many points. And it is going to be the same by region. So whether you're flying from London or Brussels or Frankfurt or Geneva or any of those from Europe, it will cost the same. Let's check this from Geneva real quick. So let's say we wanted to fly from GDA over to DXB, that one as well. Sort by first class availability. And let's do June 1st here as well, where it should be 102,000 miles. Once again, Classic Rewards from Geneva over to Dubai, June 1st, 1 passenger in first class, and it'll be 102,000 points. But this is only 6.5 hours, so if you really want to stretch to that 7 hours of the game changer for the same amount of points, though it is a slightly more in taxes and fees, I think, with the exchange rate, you would want to go for that London route. So that's just something to kind of plan out on which routes do you want to fly, but these are the routes that you would keep in mind if you wanted to fly on the Emirates Game Changer, and the best way to find availability is through seats.aero. You could do the same thing if you wanted to find availability on one of those Fifth Freedom flights that we mentioned from the US, like for example from JFK over to Milan. That route is tracked. So you can just sort by where do they have first class, where do they have business class availability, and then make your bookings accordingly from here, where it should be 87,000 miles in business class or 102,000 miles in first class from JFK over to MXP. If you want to fly one of these first class products, but you're not seeing any first class availability, don't worry, there's a way around that too, and that tutorial is coming up next. If you enjoy these types of step-by-step tutorials, but you're not sure how to apply it to your specific situation, we can prepare personalized step-by-step video guides for how to find and book the award travel that you want through the GeoBreeze Travel Patreon. Each month, we also have group coaching where you can ask any questions that you have about earning more points, redeeming points, or credit cards. Like questions about the kind of stuff that I can't really talk about on Instagram or YouTube. You can sign up by going to patreon.com/geobreezetravel or clicking on the link in the description box. Alternatively, if you are a business owner or individual who spends more than $100,000 a year on credit cards, we would love to chat with you about our points portfolio management offer, where we can show you how to get some really incredible luxury flights and hotels with the amount of points that you can earn with that level of spend. You can book a free intro chat with us at geobreezetravel.com/intro call. And now, here's the tutorial for how to grab a first class seat, even if you can't find any availability for the date that you want to fly. So I typed in this route from Newark over to Athens, which is a Fifth Freedom route operated by Emirates. And ideally, you would be able to find something in first class if you wanted to do this for 102,000 miles. However, if you are not able to find it on the onset, where you're like, well, they don't have anything available past March or May here right now, and I really want to take this trip let's say in October, but there's just nothing available for first class there. What you can do is book it for 87,000 miles in business class, and then once you check into the airport, get there as early as you can, maybe 4 hours ahead of your flight, you can transfer 30,000 points into your Emirates account from anything, Chase, Amex, Citi, Capital One, or Bilt, and ask if there is availability to book a first class ticket, and then you can use 30,000 miles at that point to upgrade into a first class ticket. Obviously, ideally, you would just want to book the first ticket outright because this is 102,000 miles minus 87,000 is 15,000 miles. So it's going to cost you twice as much for the upgrade if you book business first and then upgrade later. But sometimes if you just want to secure the business class seat, then you are willing to pay that extra 15,000 points per ticket to upgrade into first class later for this route. Quick caveat that I do want to warn you about, I did this on my flight back from Milan back to JFK. So I went up to the check-in counter 3 or 4 hours early and I said, hey, is there any availability for first class? They said yes, it'll cost 30,000 points per ticket to upgrade. I moved 60,000 points from my Amex account over to my Emirates account, and it just did not post in time. Usually it will post instantaneously, but that time it did not. It took about 40 hours for it to post. By then I was already back into the United States, so I have 60,000 points just sitting into my Emirates account, which I can't move back. Once they're moved, you can't move them back into your Amex account. So I made this video partially to train myself on what am I going to do with those 60,000 miles. If you have any recommendations on best routes you would recommend that I spend 60,000 Emirates miles on without having to chase it with hundreds of thousands of more points for me and my husband to travel, please let me know. But that is just something to keep in mind, is your miles may vary, your experience may vary, and not everything in the world of points and miles is perfect, because sometimes you do go for that upgrade and then your points are stuck. So I would recommend using Seats.Aero and just filtering by who has first class availability right now, and then just booking that outright rather than trying to do the upgrade thing. I hope you found these tutorials useful. Viewer suggestions on future topics are always welcome, so please let me know in the comments if there are any points topics that you would like for me to make a video on. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, I think you will enjoy this video next.